Last year and earlier this year, we have been hearing about how the Singapore dollars get into a record high against the Malaysian ringgit, and we all thought that 1:4 might be coming. But in recent weeks, the Singapore dollar is getting much weaker than the Malaysian ringgit. So what the heck is going on? And will it continue until you will be 1:2? Watch out as I try to simplify everything. So, note that I'm not a man in finance, trust fund, 6'5", blue eyes. Instead, I'm a cat in financial debt, trust issue, 6'9", blue skin. So what I'm saying is super simplified, and if you want to know the chimp version, check out a few links I've left in the description in the YouTube version of this video lah. My numbers are also overly exaggerated so that you can picture it better. So just treat this video as a super simple guide. So what the heck happened? One of the key reasons why the ringgit is getting stronger is that Malaysia itself is getting better and more stable. When the country is stable, more people will trust it, and therefore its currency will be stronger, as more people are more willing to pay more for its currency. By now, you should know how stable Malaysia is lah, with Amazon even launching a data center there. This is a rather big story as data centers are super important infrastructure and must only be built in the good and stable area. In Asia, Amazon data centers are mostly in developed cities like Seoul in South Korea, Tokyo in Japan, Jakarta in Indonesia, or Singapore in Singapore. But you get the idea lah. Malaysia is actually growing stronger. Because if you look at the graph from April this year to 18 September this year, it has been getting stronger. In fact, the last quarter has been Ringgit's best quarter since 1973. As to why it became weak previously, I'll explain later, but just remember this. The Ringgit is actually getting stronger. So, what happened here and why does it sound like the Ringgit is so steady? You see, on 18 September, the US Federal Reserve cut interest rates by 15 basis points, which weakens the US dollars. I know you don't know what I'm talking about now, so just think of it this way. The US does something to make people spend more money, because if people don't spend money, they might fall into a recession, which might lead to job losses. This is the first time that they did so in 4 years. This affects many countries. But why will it affect other countries? One of the reasons is that because many countries trade with the US, so when their currency becomes weaker, others will become stronger ma. This is why you are seeing graph like this, whereby many countries' currency becomes stronger. In other words, actually, while the interest rate cut does make Ringgit stronger, it makes many other currencies stronger as well. But since the Ringgit is already getting stronger, so this kind of make it stronger even more lah. It's like a man is buffing up by going to the gym once a week and then eating chicken breast daily, and then suddenly he gets a gym membership and free protein powder for 2 months. That will make him bigger faster. This is especially true because unlike Singapore, Malaysia's currency exchange rate is kind of also dependent on other countries, compared to Singapore whereby our system is not so dependent on the strength of other countries' currency. But will this last? Now remember, don't take any financial advice from a cat, especially a blue cat. But just remember this, there will be quite a bit of fun in the next 2 months. The US elections is coming, which will affect the markets, and also the Feds might be doing another interest rate cut. While Malaysia is getting more stable, some of these external factors might affect their currency rate. So if you're just a layman going to JB every weekend, it's better to stop the guessing game lah. To know what earlier Malaysia's ringgit become weaker, watch this. And thank you for spending almost 3 minutes with me. I really appreciate it and hope you learned something.